بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. I wanted to do a lecture series about the similarities between the prophets of old and the Imam. Imam Mahdi Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif in particular. And also there will be some mention of some other of the Imams as well throughout this lecture series. I wanted to make the series because a lot of people have doubts in the Imams. A lot of people think they're just ordinary people who succeeded the Prophet, but they didn't have any special rank and they were just like anybody else. Or maybe they knew more than other people, but that was it, and they look at them as just great leaders or ordinary people who had good leadership capability, and this is not the case at all. And we have another group of people who come, they hear us tell stories about the Imams, alayhimus salam, and all of the things that they did, and they say, Astaghfirullah, you can't say that because you're elevating the status of the Imam to God and all of these things, which is also not correct. We see that many instances in our narrations, we have stories where the Imams would heal the blind, where they even would revive the dead. After they had died, they would revive the dead. And this is nothing new. We see these same type of things throughout the Quran that happen with other prophets. So I want to show the similarities between things that the Imams did and the things that the prophets did. Many of the Imams knew all of the languages. They knew things. Sometimes they would even answer people before they asked the question. They knew what they were thinking. They were in contact with the Imams. With the angels. Whenever they wanted to know something, they made the intention to know it, and they knew it. See, the Wahhabis, Salafis, and other groups, they say, oh, you elevated the status of the Imams to the level of Allah. They say they know the unseen. We do say they know the unseen. From here all the way until the Day of Judgment, they know the unseen, what will happen. But the difference is they don't have this knowledge from themselves. They don't derive it from their self. They derive the knowledge from Allah. It's something Allah created and gave to them. So it's dependent on Allah, not dependent on themselves. And when we want to say, when I say that I want to make similarities between the prophets of the past and the Imams, it's not to put them on the same level and say the prophets and the Imams are on the same level. Because we believe the position of imamah is higher than the rank of prophethood. And this does not pertain to the Khatam al-Anbiya, the seal of the prophets, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ali. He was greater than all of the prophets, and this is something that is agreed upon. Even Sunnis and Shia and everyone, they all agree that the Prophet Muhammad was the greatest of the prophets. Well, the Prophet inherited the things from the previous prophets, and he had all of them in his self. He had all of these characteristics and different qualities, and he was higher than all of the other prophets. Now we see this, and we know that the successors of the prophet, the 12 Imams, they inherited from the prophet, so they also have more than the other prophets. And there's many different things about this. You can see even in Sunni sources, such as Sahih al-Bayhaqi, Musnad ibn Hanbal, Shar ibn Abdul Hadid, Tafsir Kabir by Fakhruddin Razi. There's a narration that says, Imam Ali alayhi salam, having the highest virtues of the early great messengers. It said, the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa ali said, he who wants to see Nuh alayhi salam in his determination, Adam alayhi salam in his knowledge, Ibrahim alayhi salam in his clemency, Musa alayhi salam in his intelligence, and Isa alayhi salam in his religious devotion should look at Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. So we can see here, we even have narrations. This, if you want to look at these qualities of the prophets, look at Imam Ali alayhi salam. This was not said about anybody else. And when we say that the Imams are higher than the prophets, you can even see some things in the stories and the history. For example, when Isa was to be born, the angels told Mary to leave that place of worship where she was at and go outside of the temple and have the baby, her baby son, Jesus, alayhi salam, peace be upon him, outside of the temple. And she went near the palm tree. In the story, you can find it in the Quran, but she left the temple. And when we come and look at the birth of Imam Ali alayhi salam, when Fatima bint Asad came to the Kaaba opened for her and she went in the Kaaba, whereas the mother of Jesus had to go outside of the temple. So this shows a preference to Imam Ali, a station that was higher, and he was granted this honor, whereas a prophet of Allah, Nabi Isa, Jesus, did not have this honor. Also, when you look at Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ibrahim, he had complete faith, he had no doubts, but he wanted to know the process of how the things went with the resurrection. So he asked Allah to show him. So Allah told him in Quran, the story is very famous, to cut the 4 birds into different portions and put them on different parts of the mountains, and then to call to the birds, and all the birds would come back to him. Okay, when you look at Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, even if the veil of the unseen is lifted from my eyes right now and I see everything, my faith will not increase one bit, because he has complete yaqeen. He did not even need to see the process. He had complete yaqeen. This shows where Nabi Ibrahim wanted to have more certainties just to see the position, the process of how things went. Imam Ali didn't need this. Also, the rank is higher than the rank of prophethood, because we see in the Quran, in Surah Baqarah, ayah 124, وَإِذْ ابْتَلَىٰ إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَعَلْتُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. It said, when Ibrahim was tried and tested by his Lord with certain commands, and he fulfilled them, then he said, now I appoint for you, you an imam for mankind. And then he goes on further, وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي قَالَ لَا يَنَالُ عَهْدِ الظَّالِمِينَ. And he asked, from my progeny. And Allah said, my covenant does not reach the unjust. So this shows that the oppression or the unjust, or the one who wrongs himself, is called an oppressor. As we say in Dua Kamil, Dhalamtu nafsi, I've oppressed myself by the sins. So this covenant of imamah does not reach a sinner. It is only for those who are tahir and who are ma'soom and infallible. This also proves the infallibilities of the imams, alayhimus salam. And it shows that we know that Ibrahim was already a prophet. So, and then he was tried with some things further than that, and then he reached the rank of imam after prophethood. He already had prophethood. So this imam position was a special position that was granted to him by Allah when he fulfilled the test that he fulfilled. And these are just some things to show that the rank of imamah is a special one. And when we mention the imams, we're going to mention their fadail, and we're going to compare them and show them, for those who doubt, that some of the things that we say, they said, this is miraculous, this thing can't happen for these people. It happened before for other people, other prophets, and even successors of prophets in the Quran. So we're going to continue with this series. Keep me in your dua that I'm able to finish this series, and we'll move on from here. And any comments or suggestions, please feel free to message me, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum wa al'an a'da'ahum.